Okay, now we can go. Okay.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, great. Do we have Elaine on? Elaine?
Hi, Judy Rodriguez. It's great to see you.
Hey, how are you all?
We're great.
See you
And
too.
wait,
And Sandy. I'm scrolling through here.
Tracy, give me a heads up.
Yeah, I'm looking for Elaine.
She's here.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I will stop scrolling. Go back.
I think one more minute.
Yeah, we're up to 43. So give it another minute. That'd be great.
Come here, Waffle, come here.
Is that Beth?
Yeah.
That's a cute dog name. All right, yeah, we're still at 43 and it's 10:05. So what do you think, Beth?
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
Is Michael available?
You want me to start sharing my screen now?
Not yet. I'll let you know, Michael.
Okay.
After Diane does your introduction.
Alrighty.
Right.
All right, Betsy, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, Lisa, do you want to start the record?
She
Yeah,
did.
it's recording.
Yep.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. As always, we want to thank you for naming your device for attendance purposes. And we ask that you please mute yourself as a courtesy to our speaker during his presentation. Special thanks go to Elaine Pizzarelli, who's taking attendance at today's meeting. And now, Tracy and I would like to welcome today's speaker, Michael Russo. Diane, would you please join us for his introduction?
Yes, we are in for a treat. Michael is the owner of Trout Lily Farm. I don't know if anybody's aware, it's in North Guilford. Apparently absolutely gorgeous. I get to see it this afternoon. It's on Lake, I believe I'm pronouncing it right, Quanapog.
Correct.
Good, okay. And I guess you can be described, the short version, as organic farmer, floral designer, and not to forget your 33 years of very dedicated art education. I would say that your background is when you grew up with your family of passionate gardeners. Michael went to Wesleyan University, but is definitely further educated in art. He is now certified as a Connecticut Master Gardener, a longtime member of Northeast Organic Farmers Association. His involvement in floral design has been for about 18 years. And from his testimonials on the website, it's clear that he puts on spectacular weddings, from the actual aesthetic of it to dealing with the families in a very friendly way. They're incredible, the testimonials. But my favorite aspect, and this ties in with your green and organic side, is your background. In your background is your true interest in keeping things green. He is addicted apparently to flea markets and tag sales. a collector of books and artifacts on topics ranging from heirloom vegetables, Valentine's, Victorian language of flowers. His collections have even been featured with Martha Stewart on television in her Martha Stewart Living Weddings magazine, and I'm sure since then, many more examples. So today, Michael will be demonstrating several floral arrangements. Clearly, he has a great background in education. I'm assuming that we will learn a lot. And then, as you will find out, we're going to raffle off the arrangements. So welcome, Michael.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
Okay, Michael, over to you if you want to share your screen now.
I am going to do that. Let me get, okay, so can you folks see that all right?
Yes.
All right, so this is almost looks like today, except we have a lot more foliage on the trees. This is just a little, actually, from where I'm speaking in the guest house, you can see directly through the gardens and to the green barn, which is my winter studio. I'm just going to start with a few slides as an introduction to show you where I work and how I've set up the gardens here. And then I'll be using material from the gardens here and as much American grown and Connecticut grown flowers as possible. So let's go here. Let's move forward. Okay, so this is a friend of mine came over with a drone just on Friday and flew over the property just to show you how things are laid out. So if you look over here, this is where I'll be demonstrating here in the guest house. And Diane, that's where you're going to come up and see me, and we'll pick up the arrangements. This is a large raised bed cutting garden, and it's completely surrounded. The whole perimeter is surrounded by hundreds of peonies going from shades of white all the way to deep purples. This area here is a post and beam barn where I do winter designing. And then there's these terrace gardens, which I don't harvest from those generally. They're mostly display gardens. And there's one part of it is a shade garden under a large, well-established maple. Down here is the annual cutting gardens, which soon will be planted with, thousands of cutting garden flowers that I've started at a greenhouse nearby. Over here, I usually put in about between 300 and 600 dahlias. Those are pretty much the showstoppers in the fall. And then the very first things when I purchased this property 18 years ago was to start putting in the woodies, and I'll be using material from here. So, and then this was originally a boathouse that I converted to a farm stand and a summer studio. So you could see I just have a great amount of resources to use in my design work. And it's also down in this area, if you cross 77, Route 77 is Lake Quanapug. There's willows and aquatic plants down there, which I also harvest from time to time. This is just a quickie of the cutting gardens. What I've done over the 17, 18 years is start to incorporate spring ephemerals, bulbs, summer bulbs like dahlias, and vegetables and herbs all within this garden. And over time, as I pretty much age in place as a designer, I think these will be the gardens that I'll actually be getting most of my floral material from. All right, so because I wanted this talk to be about a greener perspective, there's two aspects to that. One is I will be using some evergreens, different types of evergreens, as well as deciduous material in this talk, but I meant it to be more of a talk that has a focus on sustainability and conservation. So, I guess I was outed as being a pretty much addicted tag sale and thrift store shopper. So you can see on the left here, these three things: reduce, recycle, reuse. Use the materials, use the containers and the mechanicals that you have, and sort of some unlikely materials, which I'll show you how to use. But you can see on the left here, this is at a thrift shop, And this particular one I like to visit a lot because they arrange very conveniently on the ends of their aisles. They arrange by color. So I did a little shopping there for this talk and found some really fun and unique vessels that you wouldn't normally find at a commercial, retailer or wholesaler. So other things I'm going to be touching on, and I'm not going to turn this, there's no quiz, but keep the carbon footprint small if you can while you're designing. And the way to do that is use local material. I mean, right now, the floral industry has been hit hard by the conflicts going on in the Middle East with Israel and the Palestinians, which have interrupted the pipeline of flowers coming to us. So the more we use our own American flowers and local flowers that we grow ourselves or from local resources, we're not going to be affected by the conflicts going on in the world. 80% of our flowers that we use in the United States actually come from international sources. And I think personally, I feel we need to really do something about that and start using more American flowers and even Connecticut grown flowers. Also, keeping things seasonal. Think about, once you have a good understanding of what's in the garden, think about what's growing and then use that when you're doing your design. Sustainable, I'll be talking a little bit of that as I talk. And I am an organic grower and I do not use Oasis. This entire talk is going to be a floral foam, I should say, to keep it generic, floral foam free. It's a very toxic material. It doesn't biodegrade. So I'm going to show you some alternatives that you can easily do. Okay. And if you can't find these materials yourself, you can also, there's some folks that are advocates for making materials that you can use instead. And of course, chemical-free flower growing protects your family, your pets, the environment, and it also means you can compost all that biomass that may possibly be, left over from floral design. All right, here's a woman who I adore, Deborah Prinzing out of Seattle. She is the #1 advocate about growing American grown flowers, using them in your design work. I don't know if anyone's aware of her, but you should be. She started a big the slow flower movement. She has a podcast, and one of her books that I love is called The 50 Mile Bouquet. And she really suggests that through all four seasons, you should be able to find material. I mean, I just walk out the door, but you could find material to use in your design work within 50 miles. That should be, sort of your goal, to try to source out materials. This image, by the way, of the red, white, and blue, most of that material came right out of my gardens, and it was designed by Ellen Hoverkamp, who's an artist in her own right, who does beautiful scanned images of garden flowers. Some of you may also have heard of her. And July is American Flower Week. Okay, so you don't have to go all the way to Seattle to access flowers. I made that image on the upper left of the map of Connecticut using flowers that I collected from different farmers throughout Connecticut who grow flowers for us. And I'm proud to say that I helped in the starting of the Connecticut. I was one of the founding members of the Connecticut Flower Collective, which right now is housed in a Wallingford at, of all things, kind of trendy, a microbrewery called Front Porch Brewery, operated completely by women. And I just went this past Wednesday, to supplement what I picked in my own gardens. And I have a little video I want to show you, and I'll talk over it. So we're going to take a little walk through the collective. So these are flowers that are available on the floor, all seasonal, 100% Connecticut grown, gorgeous tulips, spring branches. And then you look in the background, all those ribbons were made by an artist who uses plant material to dye them. And, you're going to see happy customers here, folks checking out. And then we come along, you're going to see some beer in the cooler, and you're going to get a glimpse of me there taking photos. They also keep dried material. And that's another thing that I like to promote is you don't have to use just fresh material. I'm going to be using dried material today. And then you can see there's all that area to the right is, and on this table is just up for grabs, smaller materials in smaller, little bouquets, shorter stems. And then the other thing is if you become a member, you can pre-order online, and we're going to quickly go over to a pre-ordering area here. That's the material I bought for you today, which I'm going to be using. You can see it in the background probably. And so these are all pre-ordered, and they're waiting for designers and garden clubs to come and pick them up. And then you'll see, here's a little close-up. There's the lilacs I'll be using today, some gorgeous tulips. There's some peony type tulips and some beautiful parrot tulips. So here, later on in the season here, these are 2 floral designs that I did, just chock-a-block full of flowers from my garden. And I'm just going to do a voice. Is everybody hearing me okay? I hope. And this is like late summer going into fall in the gardens. And then also here's something I am not embarrassed to say. I'm a big forager, and I also love being invited into friends' yards and doing some very strategic pruning and using that material in my design. I'll be using some unexpected things today in just a few minutes. And then here's the education part. Some of these terms you'll be familiar with. You know, as an art educator, the same principles and elements of design I use all the time in my floral design. And the biggest one is repetition. I think if you repeat form, shape, color, texture, and pattern, you'll have a more, even though you're using different colors, and different seasonal flowers, you can have a more harmonious design in the end if you repeat those elements. And then terms I'll be using, which most of you must be familiar with, or if not, you will be now, are the fillers, which fill up, you know, the bulk of the arrangement. They also act as a natural mechanical in themselves. And then the thrillers are the focal flowers, seasonal focal flowers. You know, you could see some that we have now, narcissus, tulips, and lilacs I'll be using a great deal of. And then spillers are, you know, branches and grasses and things that have, you know, wonderful gestural types of lines to them, which help bring the arrangement out from beyond the main core. All right, so that's it for that part of the presentation. And while I do a little quick change here in the studio in the guest house, I'm going to move the table around, and then I'm going to start designing for you. So just bear with me for a minute. You're going to hear a little bit of clanging, and I'm going to stop there. And hopefully you'll be able to see me now. Let's check. Can you see me okay there? Okay.
If everybody wants to put their view on
Yes.
speaker view, you could see Michael.
Okay.
Fill up the screen.
All right. So you can see me all right there?
Yes,
I think I'm going to change.
perfect.
Okay, I just want to make sure you can see my, there. All right, so let me get this bar out of here so I can actually see. I want to make sure you can see the arrangements well. All right, so I grow my annuals for the cutting garden and some of the perennials at a greenhouse. And the first arrangement I'm going to do was completely inspired by the fact that when I went to the greenhouse, there's some Meyer lemons and some other citrus trees. So if you can see here, these are actually, some lemons that were growing right in the greenhouse. So I decided I was going to, we've been cooped up for, a year. And now that things are opening up, we can start entertaining and having parties again. And I was thinking margaritas on the deck and starting to have friends over. And the container that I'm going to use also was an inspiration. I got this container at one of those thrift stores, and the color itself, like a lot of times when I start, I let the container sort of have a conversation with me. And I looked at it, and as soon as I saw this with greens and yellows and oranges, I knew this citrus palette was going to be perfect. So what I want to show you is because we're going Oasis free, I mean, some of you, if you're fortunate enough that you had, I don't know, maybe I'm dating myself a little bit, but we used to use these pin stands and, like old school, our grandparents might have had these big, heavy cages. I love these. I'm always looking for these and collecting them. So if you have them, these things work great for using as the mechanical. But now there's new materials also available that you can use. I've actually also constructed a mechanical in here using, I'll take it out so you can see quick. It's just believe it or not, a dollar store Rubbermaid, I think it's Betty Crocker, plastic storage container. And I've taken this you can get at garden centers. Here's old school chicken wire. Can you see that? This is a little vicious and you can get cut on this. So I prefer this vinyl coated hex. And what I do is I bend this and you can wear gloves. I have pretty well calloused farmer hands, but protect your hands and you just bend this until it cooperates and you can make these cages, which you can put into containers, just use as a mechanical. And also on the market now by a designer called Holly, her name's Holly Chappell. She's actually created these plastic reusable cages that you can also use. They're called pillows and eggs. And it looks a little bit like what I made, but you can also use this for bouquet work and you can use them over again. So they're plastic. So here we're reusing and repurposing, and we're not producing a lot of waste and, nasty stuff with Oasis. In full transparency, I still do have to design with Oasis occasionally, just because of the nature of what I want to design. So I've rigged this up with the chicken wire already. And now I'm going to start with the fillers. So where's my citrus? Okay, so I'm going to put this over here. All right, so what I'm going to start doing is, I got this on a turntable for you as well. So I'm going to start putting in the fillers, and I said I was going to keep this evergreen. So I'm going to use a repetition of the colors that are in this container. So I'm using Corona scissors, by the way. There's two schools basically of floral design, and that's the scissor crowd, which I am, and then there's the knife. And I just prefer doing this. So I'm going to start putting in my filler material. I'm going to make sure it goes in the water. And when I design, I look at the container and I figure I can go 2 to 3 times the size of the container up and also out. So I'm starting here with this. This was, evergreens that I have growing here, and some that I foraged from friends' yards. And I like the nice acid color of this. I'm putting them in, making sure that they're going to be in the water, touching the water. And I'm for repetition. So what I'm doing is I'm adding this, and I'm going to keep filling this. I'm a big stickler. I do not like, although this is a pretty scalloped edge, I do not like seeing the edge of a container. That's just something that kind of annoys me. So I try to cover that as much as possible. So I'm working with this material. The cage is holding it. And I'm still working within that color palette. And now I've got this nice weeping material right here. Oh, watch while I break this down. Here's a forked piece. So I have a long stem here. So I'm going to use this, which is long. And now I also can use this other piece that's weeping. So this is filler, but it's also spillers because it is going beyond the end of the container. So I'm going to start putting this in. I'm going to cluster that. And then I'm going to start adding some other green materials. I don't know if you're familiar with this. It's called green ball or green trick dianthus. So it's in the carnation family and has a wonderful texture. I wish you could, the one thing Zoom has to figure out is how to adds smell to the technology, because I wish you could already smell this. And I tend to be a non-symmetrical guy when it comes to designing, unless a client specifically wants that. And you can still have balance without having it so perfectly symmetrical. So I did a cluster of 3. I like using odds, and I'm going to just turn this around for a moment. So I just did, with the green trick height, dianthus. Now I'm going to start adding some hydrangea in a cluster of 3. You can see this okay, all I hope. I see like thumbs up from folks. Good, okay.
Yes, totally. It's perfect.
And now this came from a friend's garden, my friend Sandy in Wilton. This is Winterthur viburnum. And I really like, see it's repeating. Do you notice, you can see this already, repetition. So the repetition here is these spherical forms, and textural. These, I'm gonna put this hydrangea in here. I mean viburnum. And I'm gonna use a little viburnum on the other side. I'm starting to think of the spilling part. It's a little too long. I want to hide any guests, so I'm going to trim that down a little bit. Sometimes you get a flower that just doesn't want to play well with others. Okay, so that's starting to get there. And I'm going to put this to the side for a moment, because now I'm actually ready to start adding some of the thrillers. So to get this citrusy going, I'm going to cluster. I don't know, this is geum and this is totally tangerine. For some reason, geum just doesn't get used enough. It's a perennial and it's really lovely. Can you see that a little closer? So geum. Now, what I'm going to do is, because it's a little petite, instead of doing little, punctuation marks, I'm actually clustering it. So I'm going to do a big cluster for a big pop of color. I thought it was fragrant for a minute, but it's not. So I'm going to put this in here. This is a repetition of the color on the container, and it's also going to repeat the colors that I've used in some of the other focal flowers. So this is, because of the scale of this is not only, it is sort of a focal flower, but it is actually still a filler. The old school of what was called greening out was fern, a lot of lemon leaf, a lot of green material, but don't be afraid to use a flower like geum as a filler. Okay, and the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to continue going with this and adding some of the real focal flowers, which are beautiful. So I've got these, you saw these in the video. Here's some gorgeous parrot tulips, which I'm going to put in there. I love including the different stages of a flower's life. So I'll have some in tight buds, some fully blown. I'm going to do these. I want that gesture of these tulips coming through. So those are going in there. And then, we're working with a living material, so you have to absolutely make sure that you respect the behavior of these. I'm going to be using some parrot tulips here. I mean, these are peony style. This is called Sensual Touch. Make sure all of these are going into the water. Get that in there. I like working on the turntable. I don't always use the turntable, but I do like working on the turntable because, you know, if this was going on a long table for for a dinner party, you want to make sure everybody gets something beautiful to look at. Okay, so I've got that starting there. I was going to use these Siberian wallflowers, which I still might use. If you see these are so fragrant. I'm going to start putting these in here. These are going to act as spillers. They're extending out this arrangement. Oh yeah, they smell great. So I'm going to go like this. So because I've got the 3 going on here, something else I'm going to use are these absolutely amazing ranunculus, locally grown at one of our Connecticut Flower Collective farms in their high tunnels. Okay, so there's one. This is a little tall. I have to make sure Diane can fit this in her car, but so that spilling out there is also spilling out here. I really like this one. It's very full blown. Okay, so who else wants to join the party? Some other gorgeous citrusy ranunculus. I'm going to cluster this like I did the geum. So I'm going to put this here and then I'm going to show you where these are going to be. Okay, so I've left some space, and the reason why I've left that space is I'm also going to add some fresh fruit. So I have the lemons. I want to introduce this yellow. So what I've done is, I mean, during the pandemic, we've probably done far too much takeout. So this is a good time. We have all these disposable chopsticks, and because this is for food, instead of using those green tinted ones you get from the commercial floors, because these are for food, I could use these and then I just insert them into the lemons. And then I can place these now into my arrangement to add some yellow. They don't actually have to be in the water. I'm going to show you, put a little bit of the lemon in there. And now for some of my spillers. So I have this full branch of lemons. I mean, you don't see that often. So I have this full gorgeous branch of lemons here. And I'm going to put this on the other side. I'm going to use the container to help support that. There, I like that on that side. Almost done. I'm going to conceal the edge of that just a little bit. Oh, I didn't tell you about this. So because this is a short stem, I've placed the lemon in a floral tube. So it has its own water. And I'm going to put that. That goes in there and that's hanging. So I've got that going on in there. And then, too bad you can't smell this. This is some lemon blossoms. I'm going to put that front and center. If it doesn't want to cooperate, you have to show these flowers who's boss sometimes. All right, I like that. And then now finally for spillers, a few more spillers. I have some daffodils too, and here's a little trick about daffodils and narcissus. Because when you cut them, they exude some juices. I also like to take the narcissus. This is Dellenshaw. Because of those exuded juices, I put the daffs in little floral tubes, and then I can put this in. They don't even have to touch the water. So I can add these with their floral tubes. Find a spot. There's a gap on the side here. And it's easy because I could just put that in there. This is such a fragrant arrangement. Actually, that's a little tall, so I'm going to trim that. Okay, and then the last pieces I'm going to put in there are, you're not going to believe this, but this is that foraged autumn olive, which is super fragrant. And, you know, just like foraging wild foods, if you can't beat them, eat them. So I'm going to use these wonderful branches of this to really extend this out. So this is the autumn olive, and this is going to be my spiller. Again, look at those nice gestures. Be super careful, be very super careful when you're cleaning this, because autumn olive has these nasty thorns, and you do not want to get hurt on that. Okay, maybe one more. I'm very much from the school of design, which is more is more. So I'm going to add a little more. So I'm going to look. I think I want a little bit in the front. Because again, remember, I don't like the edge of the container showing. So I'm going to put this in here. Bring that down. Another little trick, sometimes if the branch doesn't want to cooperate, just on the edge of your work surface on your table, bend it back and forth, coaxing it into more of a pretty, gesture. This is, I would say, done. So she's in there. Okay, so first one done, citrusy.
Wow,
I'm gonna put it over there.
fabulous.
So that's your first one. Gonna clear the
Thank
decks
you,
over.
Michael.
And we're gonna still keep going here, folks. We have more to do. I'm gonna push this to the side. I always end up with more flowers. Okay, so for the next one, I thought would be nice to do something that's fresh and green. So we had the citrus pot there. So now I'm going to do something that's just fresh and green for you. And for that, this is a container. Yes.
Can you hear me? I have a question that came up on chat. You're not going to
Okay, go
believe this,
ahead.
but because of the using the citrus, back to the lemon, apparently a couple people noticed a brown spot on the lemon. That doesn't bother us, right?
These are living things. And like I said before, I like showing the different stages. I mean, if it was really overtly nasty, let me see if I can find that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might turn that. I could possibly turn that or replace that. I didn't catch that originally, but
Well, we have some sharp eyes here and everybody's
yes,
appreciating the big shot.
I like actually seeing the plants also in sinensis, like full blown and sometimes even losing some of their petals.
Yeah.
So that doesn't always bother me. All right, here's the mechanical, here's another mechanical. This was one of those, see, half of that cage, and I've taped it onto just a little plastic container, and I'm inserting into this. And because this container is metallic, I'm gonna have metallic accents going on in here. So I'm gonna quickly green this out. Going through the floral cage. Stripping, nothing below the water, nothing, no greenery below the water line. So I'm going to keep going with this. A lot of this material was already prepped. So, you know, it's not that you get this material looking this, you know, wonderful right away. You do have to work with it. I'm gonna make sure these stems are in the water. This autumn olive is a little bit, it's full blown and it is shedding, but again, that's not gonna bother me too much. And now these are some of my other greens that I'm going to use. So I'm going to start just surrounding this with some lemon. And can you see that I've hit some of these leaves with a little bit of metallic. I used Design Master, a little bit of floral designer magic there. I've used the Design Master sprays to enhance, I like to call it, Mother Nature. So I'm hitting that with metallics, and I'm going to start putting these in just to conceal that edge. I could have had this greened out for you already, but I do want to show you what it does entail when you're doing this yourself. This is going to be this is going to be more symmetrical. It is round. It's going to be seen from all sides. Then what I'm also going to do here is I'm going to put in hydrangeas. The hydrangeas have all been conditioned. They've been cut and allowed to really hydrate really well. I'll leave some of the foliage for this. So I've got 3 on that side. I'm going to sort of work in a triad. So I've got 3 there, 5 there. And again, I'm using Green Trick Dianthus. I'm going to start putting those in. And I'm going to alternate, in this case, I'm going to alternate using Alstroemeria, Peruvian lily. And just so that you may not know this, but these need a good time to open up. And I also like to bend back. I already did this, but I like to bend back gently the petals because it gives, you know, these can look really sort of anemic, but if you pull back the petals, you get like really full volume there. And I'm using this both, you know, as somewhat of a repetition of the color, but I'm using it as a filler. And again, remember, I'm working in a triad. So I'm working triangular. I'm triangulating this. Want this to be really fresh and green. And I usually do have, if I'm working within an unlimited budget, I just go wild and buy lots of material or harvest a lot of material. But if I am working, you know, for a client, I do have to consider what I'm going to be purchasing in terms of the material. So I've really portioned this out. All right, I have a little bit. This is a viburnum. This is right from my yard, and it's a arrowwood viburnum. I think it's called blueberry muffin. And I'm using that. I'm greening that out, but I'm going to start building a little bit of height with this. I can still see my cage really well. Where's the rest of my green? Okay, so I'm going to be putting want a little bit more autumn olive in there. Going to give that a spin. Some asters that I've cut down. Is also going to help me develop my height. A lot of times when I want a final height, I take the whole flower like this, I turn it upside down, I look, where do I want it in space, and I snip. Now I know that's the final height. Actually, it's not the final height, but I'm going to cut it a little shorter. So I want to go a little shorter, but I turn it upside down like that so I could see where I want to be. So I want that there. Get these guys in. So although this is, you know, this is greening out, but it's not, I'm using floral material as well. Okay, so I'm putting my green trick in there now to finish the greening out. And when I do this, I'm not going to completely fill it in. I'm going to stagger this because I still have, this is just the beginning and I still have all my thrillers. I have my focal flowers to add in there. And for a little bit of a pop, I am not going to continue with white focal flowers, but I'm going to actually add in purples because right now the garden is exploding with purples. So I want to use that. All right, so one more Monty. Wait till you see these next guys that I'm going to be adding in as thrillers. I do have a little bit of status, so I will use that. This actually is American grown, but it's not in season. Okay, it's not actually in season right now. So this is coming out of a hothouse, probably in California. I'm going to give this a spin so you could see it in a moment. Make sure when you've prepared your material that the stems, see how all these stems are naked? I need that because I need to be able to make my insertion without bumping into any foliage from the layers below. How am I doing time-wise here, folks? Okay, so I'm going to give that a spin, and you can sort of see that. Now it's time to start adding the focal flowers. This is just water, by the way.
You're doing very well with time.
With a little bit of autumn olive in there for flavor. It is actually edible. Okay, oh, see, I saw a lemon. Remember, my more is more. So I really do want to use that. So that's going to go in there.
Michael, I do have some questions, but maybe
Yeah,
I'll
good.
save that for the, or
Well,
do you want them now?
if it doesn't, if it's something I can talk about while I'm doing this, that'd be awesome. So I could do it. I have
Okay,
some, I
so
have
number
some
one is,
Solomon seal that is just starting to harden up. Okay, go ahead.
do you use flower food? Is there anything you put in the water?
Okay. When I'm harvesting, depending, like, oh my gosh, I forgot to use I'm gonna use them right now. I forgot, this is perfect time. I forgot about the gorgeous white lilacs.
Oh,
So this is a perfect example of conditioning and, okay, this was just in the nick of time. Conditioning and using floral food. So when I harvest the lilacs, what I've done is they've been cut and I make a 3-inch cut, 3 to 4, about 2-3 inches. I go up. You can see it's split. And then I twist that cambium layer back. And then I put them in a material called Quick Dip,
yep.
which is
Okay, we've heard
available.
of it.
It's apparently not toxic. I did ask, like, what is it, in case one of my, clients' children decided they wanted to drink it. And because of what's it called? Because of the proprietary information, they wouldn't tell me, but they said, no, the child wouldn't die, which wasn't all that helpful. But anyway, so in this container, there is floral food. It's just a food, but I don't even like using that. I really don't. Oh my God, what would we have done if we forgot those lilacs? Look at that. See the lilacs, how they add that? Can't believe I almost forgot that. These, by the way, have been in the cooler holding and being conditioned. I mean, lilacs are notorious for having a short shelf life. So I like to harvest them about two-thirds opened, and that way you're going to have much better luck.
And
Right.
how do you keep them hydrated all that time? Do you just keep
I have
snipping
a
and
cooler,
clipping?
but you'd have to put them someplace that's really cool and out of direct sunlight and not hot. But obviously, I have a floral cooler and I use that. Okay, that's
Okay. So
that's exactly what that needed. Almost forgot. And now, although the lilacs are what I would consider a thriller, what I'm actually going to use now are some of these amazing parrot tulips. Okay.
wow.
So these are from the garden, and I'm going to use the gesture of these tulips to, like, just sort of, they're kind of just reclining in the arrangement. That's a little too tall. I'm going to put that in. Yeah, there she goes. Okay, and then I'm going to put some of these in. Strip the leaves. And did you see, like, I left spaces between the dianthus? That's because this is going to fill that negative space. I do have a couple other tulips, and then I've got these, like, showstopper anemones that were also grown in a hoop house at one of the farms among the collective. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so now these tulips, these dark ones, this one right here, this is called Black Hero, and I'm going to add those.
We have a tulip question. Do
Yes.
you use, I guess there's a gardener's tale that you slit parrot tulips at the top for longevity?
I don't do that. Yeah, not so much slit. What you supposedly, I have heard this story, is you can make a little pinprick at the top where the tulip, make a little hole up there, and that's supposed to prevent them from so they last longer. The thing about tulips, as you can see, although I like this, is they're one of the flowers that continues to grow and elongate. I think it's called phototropism, and they'll just continue to grow outwards. So just know that and cut them shorter. Look at that black hero right there, really dark. Also, this is a very unusual kooky one, tulip. It's called Green Power, 100% green, very strange. I love it though. This was coming out of a flower farm right here in Connecticut as well. And it's just, they feel like they're made out of plastic or something. They're really sturdy. And again, they're just going to be green. And I'm going to use this to develop the height. I'm almost done with this one, believe it or not. It also has, remember repetition? So there's just a tad, a little whisper of purple. So it's repeating the color. I'm repeating the texture certainly, and the color. I thought I had one more of those in there. No.
So the dark parrot tulip, what's the name of that? Somebody's asking.
Trying to remember what that one is.
Okay.
I'm not
How
sure.
about Solomon? Go ahead.
Look at that one. So these are, they're so dark, they're almost black. These are anemones, Connecticut grown anemones. I'm sticking those in there. I'm sorry, go ahead and ask me that, whatever that last question was again.
So, somebody has hard time with Solomon seal in that it wilts.
Okay,
Any
so
advice?
here's the thing. It's the same thing with hellebores. You can't pick them when they do their first flush. You have to wait until they start getting leathery. The same thing is true of hellebores. So any of the hellebores, when they first come out and they have their pollen, they're gorgeous and they're a temptation, but they're too wimpy. So
Okay.
you can't use them immediately. You have to wait until they start making, at least that's what I found to be the most successful. See those anemones in there?
Wow.
This has a nice gesture to it, but I'm going to let it sort of fall downward in here. Yeah, I like that. Okay.
Wow.
So
We're loving the more is more.
oh yeah, definitely. I am probably reincarnated Victorian floral designer because yeah. I mean, you have to know when to stop, but I like the layers. Just like when we're planting in our garden, having layers. I like layering the flowers in the design. But the other thing is too, there's a lot going on in here, but because the palette is limited, it's not really distracting. Again, repetition of the color makes it harmonious. Okay, and then these, I just picked these recently. They've conditioned for a few days, but because these alliums, you know, they're right now starting to go into their peak. So I had to like bring them to the party. If, you know, the thing with alliums could pollute, like daffodils, could pollute the arrangement, cutting down on the longevity of the arrangement. So these are another one that's a good candidate for floral tubes. So put them in floral tubes, and that way, what will happen is they have their own water. You can check to make sure they're drinking up enough, but you can also be sure that they won't pollute anything. Okay. I'm liking that. I don't know if that's too close for you to see. All right, now see, remember I said about the different phases of the tulip. So these tulips, when they were first harvested, I put them right in the cooler. So they haven't opened. I have some that are full blown. So you get to see the whole life cycle of these tulips. So that's another thing that makes your arrangements, I feel, look more natural and of the garden.
Right.
So you have to do that. Okay, am I doing okay time-wise still, ladies?
Yeah, you're mesmerized, or you're mesmerizing us, and I think we're hooked and not noticing that it's been an hour, but
All right,
we're
so,
appreciating.
no, so you know what I'm gonna do? That's why I did the magic of the television thing. Okay, that's done. Oh, no, it's not.
That's
done.
fabulous.
I forgot these unbelievable, we gotta keep going. So these are ostrich ferns, fronds. So we're gonna put, these are good in here for animation. This is because the gesture. The animation of these for, yeah, I mean, you can't deny that these are just amazing to put in here.
Can we ask you the forever problem of hydrangea? How in the world do you keep your hydrangea
Okay,
hydrated?
so I do,
or-
I cut them, you know, early in the morning. If I harvest mine from my garden, so the night before, I water that area really well, so I know they're going to be drinking up, you know, all night long. And then I cut them again, quick dip, and then into, see, this one doesn't want to play well with others. So quick dip and then put directly into a deep container of water. The thing is too, if for some reason it wilts, now this seems counterintuitive, but what I do is I take a Chinese food, well, a food container, doesn't necessarily have to be Chinese food. She's almost done. And let me see if I can find it. Okay, so I take like a food container with the lid, I cut little X's in it. I fill it with nearly boiling water if the hydrangea is wilting, and I stick the stems in that real hot water. The hot water helps hydrate it really quickly, and the lid with the X's prevents the steam from coming up and cooking the hydrangeas. And it's like stop action or whatever photography. I mean, it's unbelievable, but it's like a miracle. And the wilty ones just perk right up. I mean, if I need every single one. Okay, I forgot I was going to add a couple more things here. I just have to do this. So these are my bread seed poppies. Remember I said I was introducing metallic? So these are bread seed poppies, and I wanted them to, the repetition of the container. So I've oversprayed them with lavender, gold, copper, and basil. And I'm going to stick these in. And what are these repeating in this design? Ooh, somebody has some nice birds. So this is repeating those buds, the budded shape of the tulips. Too high. Okay. I have to come back for another hour.
Yeah.
But all right, I'm going to put this here, and then the very last thing, of course, I had some other stuff to show you, but one more, sorry.
Okay. Okay, so can we buy flowers at your farm? How does that work? What kinds
Normally
of
you
things
could,
can we?
normally you could have, but between COVID and a bunch of other factors, you can call and reserve,
Okay.
and that will work. This one, of course,
And-
doesn't want to cooperate, but there you go. All right, so see how it repeated the container? I did have these, I guess I'm not going to use these, but this is curly willow, fasciated willow. So I grow this in the garden. This is what it looks like right now, fresh. And this was from the spring. Check out those, talk about gestures. Oh, I got to put this in just quick. So this is going to extend the arrangement beautifully. So like on a table. So let's put this in here. Doesn't have to be in water. And I've oversprayed this just like I did the poppies. And this is going to add almost like the feeling of an urn to this. One. Where's my other guys? Here's the other one. This has been sprayed. It also helps extend the whole design. See that for a gesture?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so here's this, and then I'm glad I had my little secret trick here because, or I'm gonna put this here. For you to see, because I'm gonna go to the microwave.
Michael.
Magic of television. So what I've done, just in some green tumblers, I've made some, what I call these satellite arrangements. And I've made these little mini arrangements, which on a table, you would put them going down the table or around a round table. And these little satellites, again, repetition. I put Lily of the Valley in these, using the same materials. That would be, you know, going, it extends it. And you can make as many little small ones as you'd like.
So there was no reason that was in the microwave, Michael, right?
No, no.
The reason it was,
I had it stored in there. I was going to show you how to make this from scratch. The little trick about making these is I just bundle, I take little, do I have like 5 minutes?
yes, let's do it.
Okay.
Sorry, co-presidents.
Okay, so the way I make these, I get these little plastic hair ties. They're for doing like little kids' ponytails. Usually I find them at the dollar store. And because this is either clear or you can see through it, you don't want to use any kind of mechanical that's disturbing. So what I do is I just bunch these up. You know, I take my group. I'm not going to actually do the whole thing, but I would, you know, bunch this to match that. I'll make this while Diane's headed over here so that we have a couple more. So I go like this, and then I trim it. So I'm going to use this dianthus as my mechanical. And then I take that little hair tie, that little clear rubber band, and I go around here a couple of times, right? And I scrunch that up. I guess it's like a scrunchie, actually, that's what they are. Okay, so see, I go like this, and then I see the height of my container. And then I just trim it to I just, you know, this would be filled with water.
Do you spray anything on top when you're done? To keep the arrangement hydrated?
I do. Remember there was that movie about an ethnic wedding and the father used to always use Windex. I don't use Windex.
No.
But my Windex for floral design is a material called Crowning Glory. And
Okay.
you can get, I bet you could get that at a regular.
Get it at East Coast, yeah.
Yes, you get, because that's where you folks shop a lot at East Coast. So
Yes.
okay, so there, see how it's a mechanical, and now it's just, you see the stems, but it acts as a mechanical now, and then I would add in all my other flowers. So it's Crowning Glory, and I just spritz that on everything. And it
Okay. A
keeps,
lot?
no, just a little. Before I put it in the cooler, I let it dry slightly, and it's got this kind of like some kind of natural kind of gelatinous quality to it, plus something that prevents things from browning, especially if you're doing an event or working in white, because that stuff, you bruise it, it may not show up immediately, but the browning is going to show up at the wedding or the event. So you want to protect that. So it keeps everything hydrated. It's, as far as I know, it's made out of, more, or not organic, but natural materials. And I'm pretty sure it's a pretty safe material.
Okay, so back to the hydrangea and lilac. What happens after you've conditioned it and you think you're ready to put it in your arrangement, but you want to cut it again?
Well, if it's
How do
been
you-
conditioned well, I don't worry about it. Because if
Okay.
it's conditioned for a couple of days, those white lilacs I got on, I picked them and conditioned, I cut them, split them, pulled the cambium layer back, put them in a bucket with some floral food, which you don't really need. And that's been since last Wednesday.
Okay.
So they're really well hydrated. Hydration is the key. Did you get this little technique though, with the rubber band,
Yes.
clear rubber
That's-
band, and then
Yeah, I buy those rubber bands at East Coast too. Or
they have those.
remember seeing-
I just get the hair ties. I mean, because if you go to the dollar store, you get a ton of them. All right, I'm not going to arrange that anymore. I'm just hoping I didn't.
Okay,
I don't
I
think
think
I
we've
forgot
run
it.
out of
Yes. So please try to use some of these sustainable techniques. And
okay.
I think at this point, I'm going to leave the meeting, and I just wish you all well. And if you have questions, then you can almost, I don't know if you could see it there, but just, you can contact me through email.
Thank you
All right.
so much. This
Yeah.
was fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
You
That was absolutely wonderful.
Okay, good. I'm glad. All right.
All
So
right.
bye all.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you,
bye-bye.
We can't wait to come visit.
Okay, good. I'll see you later,
Have
Diane.
a big field trip.
Okay. All
All
right.
right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, we're
Bye
gonna
now.
roll the drum, beat the drum, because we're going now to Gretchen Witchy,
Live.
live to Gretchen, who will pick a name for the first flower arrangement to give away.
Oh, you have to unmute Gretchen.
You hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
So the first, we're going to raffle off those beautiful arrangements. I put everybody who's on this call is in this basket. Your name is in the basket. And the first raffle is going to be for that beautiful spring bouquet. When I draw a name, if you're not in town, I'll let you choose what you'd like me to do with it. If you want me to throw it back in and pick another name, or you have a place you want to give it to, I can arrange to do that. So the first winner is Allison Kohlmeyer. Are you on, Allison?
He's
I
out
think
of town.
everybody's muted, so.
She's out of town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, she's on the call. She
She's
wasn't.
on the call.
she was on the
Can you
call. and-
unmute, Allison?
Can you unmute?
Everybody's your new best friend, you know.
Allison, are you on the call?
Maybe just keep moving on and go back.
She is on.
She's not unmuted, I guess.
She sent a chat earlier. Maybe she can do that.
Okay, we'll set that aside for now. The next one will be for one of those small arrangements. Diane, there's two small arrangements, correct?
Wait, what about the second big one?
That's going to be the drum roll.
Oh,
I
so it's.
was going to do that one last.
Okay, two small ones.
Two small ones, okay. Gretchen Witchy?
good job.
All right, another small one. You know that if I was cheating, I would have gone for the big one, right?
Okay,
All right, the next one is Laura Pettit.
Oh,
right.
And
Great. I'm in town. Thank you.
great. And the next big one, the fresh and green with the purple thriller. Margaret Eriks.
oh,
All right, Margaret.
Wow, that's fabulous because I'm having some people for dinner on Friday night.
Excellent,
yay.
Oh my
excellent.
God,
So,
I can't believe that. That made my day.
so Margaret and Laura, I will contact you about dropping them off this afternoon, if that works.
Sure, absolutely.
And-
Thank you.
Allison, did you figure out how to talk to us?
She might have hopped off. What do we do?
I'll call her. Do you want me to call her?
Sure.
I can hold on to it until she gets back, if she's not in town.
She gets back on the 23rd. It's a while.
I'm calling
All
her.
right, so then why don't
Gonna
I
put it
drop
back
it
in?
in?
Redraw.
Yeah.
Redrop.
Redrop.
And the winner is Maeve McGovern.
Hey.
Dave.
Maeve, are you
there,
on?
Maeve?
She was on earlier.
Unmute.
I'm staying at her house tonight and tomorrow, so
Oh,
Okay.
I know she's in town.
Oh, she's in town. That's
Margot.
all that matters. Okay,
Yeah,
Perfect.
it's Margot.
excellent.
well,
Thank you,
Wonderful.
Margot.
All
I
right.
might drop off at Maeve's. I live so close to her.
Okay,
Is that
Perfect.
I don't know where she is now, but I'll text her and make sure she knows.
okay? I'll drop it at her front door then.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Diane, thank you for all you did for today's meeting. And thank you to Gretchen. And the big news is at our upcoming annual meeting, Gretchen will be doing the same thing with some arrangements from Terrain. So keep the annual meeting on your calendar
and name your devices.
and name your devices. All right. Thank you very much. That was a wonderful presentation. All right, we'll go to our updates. We have for your calendar, June's board meeting will be held Thursday, June 3rd. Please note the date change. And our annual GCD annual meeting will be Tuesday, June 8th at 10 o'clock. And that's where Gretchen will be giving away the little treats. And please log on to Zoom for the year-end recaps, awards, and giveaway prizes. And you must be on the Zoom for a chance to receive the Terrain creations. And our annual meeting will have a floral design motif, but no hats are required. Congratulations, another drum roll, to Betsy Bigler, who has been accepted into the GCA Floral Design Judging Program. Congratulations, Betsy. The 2021-22 committee choice email was sent out to our membership recently. Many of you have responded, but there's still a few stragglers. But please respond by this Friday, May 21st to gcdvote@gmail.com and get your suggestions in. If you do not reply, you will remain on the same committee as this past year. We recently just had our GCA annual meeting. Wow. We hope you were able to log on to the live GCA meeting. If not, segments will be available on the GCA website in the near future. All right, we need your creative juices flowing now. It is time to name the theme to the GCA 2024 annual meeting, which is hosted by our Zone 2. Send your ideas to gcdvote@gmail.com for next Monday, the 24th. There's a prize for the winning choice. Who knows what that is? All right. And if you look at the beautiful picture here to the right, guess where that is? Cleanups are happening this spring at Cherry Lawn Park and Weed Beach. Our flower show funds and members are hard at work. Thank you to all our hardworking members. The GCA Founders Fund winner is Rhododendron Glen, proposed by the Seattle Garden Club, Zone 12. They will receive a $30,000 grant to address key GCA positions on clean water as a part of a larger watershed that runs through Seattle's Olmsted Brothers designed Washington Park Arboretum. Congratulations. And you will be hearing more about our club's Olmsted 200 project upcoming very soon. I'm going to pass this over next to Cheryl for her report.
Good morning, everybody. It is just a gentle reminder that our annual Garden Club dues are due June 30th for the fiscal year of 2021-2022. Thank you to everyone who has paid already. For those of you who are still outstanding, as you can see on the slide, we list the amount of dues associated with the member's status. For new provisionals, 400 is made up of the 200 membership dues plus a one-time provisional fee of 150. I ask that people who are sponsoring new provisionals just remind them that this money is due when they become members June 30th. Sometimes they're not quite on constant contact yet, so all of this reminding on our membership meetings don't get to them. And then we have our annual meeting and we're no longer reminding them. So if you could just do that, it's be very helpful. Also, there are two options again this year for paying your dues. One is by traditional check. And we also have the online option through our website. Unfortunately, we are charged a transaction fee to process that online payment. So taking this into consideration, it's about $15 for each dues. So we would prefer a check. And we have also included an option on our website to have the members consider covering that transaction fee if they do choose to pay online. Just to note, going forward, we are in discussions with our bank. They're in process of joining the Zelle system, which hopefully in the future will solve the problem of the transaction fees and bring us into the 22nd and 23rd century. So stay tuned. And thank you again for following up with the dues and making my life easy.
Thank you, Cheryl, for all you're doing with that. And I'd like to pass it over to Tracy for our committee reports.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Betsy, and good morning, everyone. We'd like to bring in Sandy Noble now, our nominating chair, who will review this year's slate prior to our membership vote.
Good morning, everybody. The slate, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, I'll read off the slate for the 2021 through 2022 season. Co-presidents are Betsy Becker and Tracy Trapay. Vice President Awards and Civic is Janice Shand. Vice President Provisionals is Leslie Sanderson, Chairman, Diane Schlinkert, Assistant. Treasurer is Kristen Collier. Persephone Treasurer is Margaret Smith. Secretary is Susan Delp. Conservation is Ginger Morgan, Chairman, Amy Harned, Assistant, and Margot Condon. Floral Design is Carolyn Langelier, who's Chairman, Angela Lineberger, Assistant, and Laura Pettit. Horticulture, Juliet Kane is Chairman, Brenda Crane, Assistant, and Lee Gowan. Hospitality, Gretchen Witchy, Co-Chairman, Lisa Hughes, Co-Chairman, and Lisa von Stucknagel, Assistant. Judging Hospitality is Mia Cordelesi, Chairman, and Susan Nowak, Assistant. Memorial Herb Garden is Kathleen Solberg, Chairman, Patty Banyena, Assistant. Membership is Mary Rooney, Chairman, Margaret Smith, Assistant, and Phyllis Yavner. Nominating is Debbie McLean, Chairman, Annie McKee, Assistant, and Iris Mix. Photography is Betsy Bigler, Chairman, Margaret Eriks, Assistant, and Leslie McCarthy. Pleasure Through Plants, Beth Crump, Chairman, Kathleen Weinstock, Assistant. Program Chair is Danielle Mossman, Chairman, Kathy Logier, Assistant. In communications for the digital media, we have Lisa Webb, Chairman, Debbie Colon, Assistant. Newsletter Editor, Leslie Pennington, Chairman, Elaine Pizzarelli, Assistant. Email Blast is Christy Duggan. Publicity and GCA Bulletin is Amy Frazier. And for special committees, for Christmas greens, We have Nancy Winship, Chairman, Karen Briganti, Co-Assistant, and Vicki Nolan, Co-Assistant. Policy, Carol Caulfield and Bridget Rudner. Scholarship is Ally Callan. Visiting Gardens, Emily DeAndrea, Chairman, Allison Kohlmeyer, Assistant. Garden History is Cindy Ryan, Co-Chairman, and Cindy Stam, Co-Chairman. Zone Meeting Delegates, Betsy Becker and Tracy Drape. Yearbook is Susie Brewer. Christmas Decorations at the Library, Joanne Parr is Chairman, Holly Friend, Assistant. Fundraising, Sandy Noble, Chairman, and Karen Gregorich. Oh, sorry, we're Co-Chairman, and Karen Gregorich, Co-Chairman. Civic Improvement, Debbie Murray, Co-Chairman, and Maeve McGovern, Co-Chairman. And that should do it.
That's great. And Lisa Webb, will you explain the polling vote for us, please? There it is. I approve the proposed Garden Club of Darien nominating slate for 2021 to 2022. Please vote either yes or no, and then hit the submit button. Lisa, let me know when it looks like you have enough votes in there.
Okay, sorry, I was muted. So, yep, so far we have 42 people that have voted 100% yes.
Okay, we have about 10 people then.
Yeah.
Patty and I are
2 out of
together, so
51.
that's 2 votes from us.
So we have 82%.
Okay. Lisa, do you mind going back to slide 11,
Yes,
please?
sorry about that.
Nope,
Yeah,
no worries. Thank you.
trying to.
I know you're doing it all today. Thank you.
Okay.
Multitasking and talented.
So we have, again, 82% of the polls. Percent of people voting.
All right, there may be some people who stepped away.
Okay, I can leave the poll open.
Okay. Since it's our only one?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Then we'll go ahead and move on. Thank you, everybody, for voting. We have a very exciting year with this slate in September, and Betsy and I are really looking forward to a new year and hopefully all being together again. Next up, we have Visiting Gardens. I know Emily's on, and is Allison on now too?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
You go right ahead.
Oh, well, hi, everybody. This is kind of the last day, or tomorrow's the last day. If you're interested in going to the Philadelphia Flower Show, there's a group going on Monday, the 7th, and then there's a group going on Thursday, the 10th. We'd like for you to reconfirm to us if you would like to go, or we're going to buy tickets by tomorrow. So even if you have committed, if you could please communicate with us and let us know whether you would like to go. Anybody who would like to add in and come, we welcome you. Just let us know. The other thing is that we've decided not to do a formal trip up to the Newport show. The tickets are apparently very hard to get. If you would like to go, we would urge you to go ahead and buy those and go on your own. But we've got some exciting things coming up for next year. So we'll be sharing that with you fairly soon. We were down in Charleston and Savannah last week and had a great time with a group of garden club people. So we're planning a trip down there. And I think that'll be a lot of fun. So we'll stay tuned. We'll let you know. All right. Thank you.
That's great, Emily. Thank you so much.
My
Next we'll go to Hort with Patty and Juliet. We're together.
So we're together because I was Zooming from the Stop and Shop parking lot because I got booted out of my house by the new owners briefly. But anyway, so here we are. So we just have a real quick for June. We just want to remind everybody that on June 4th, we're having the Rose judging, and drop off it'll be at the Mather Barn again, and drop offs between 10:30 and 11 a.m. And pick up is at 1. So we're also going to be judging some other blooming something. We haven't decided what. I'm thinking it might be peonies, but we're going to wait till the end of the month and then send something out to everybody to see what the most likely thing is to enter. So that's it from my end.
And the only thing I would add, we just had some technical problems, so you may have already shown a picture of this, but a group of Hort and Conservation members planted down at the Weed Beach Gatehouse a week ago, and it's looking pretty good. We put in some more natives, coneflower and some asters that apparently like sandy soil, as well as some lavender. And I've been down to water a couple of times, and each time I go there with my watering can, which I have to bring the water from home because there's no water source there, I've had some really nice compliments. So people seem to be very happy. And my only request of anybody, if you're going down to the beach, would you take a watering can and just chuck some water on those new plants? It would be really great. Thanks.
Julia, we did have the 3 pictures that you sent us of the gatehouse before, after, and then.
Oh, great, great. I heard the words and we couldn't see anything.
Oh.
That's great. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Our pleasure. Next up, we go to Susan and Leslie with provisionals.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Yeah, Leslie's not on the call, but I'll be brief. We have been doing a great job up at Mather. The plants look really good. A couple of little ones that need to be replaced, I think, but by and large, they all look good. Just want to remind everyone not to leave the hose laying around for anyone to trip on it when they're doing the watering. But otherwise, it looks really, really good. And they've put out some annuals in pots around the doorway entrances, so we should just water those when we're there as well. We have a botanical arts tutorial tonight by our own dear Betsy Bigler, and I was able to see her piece that she did for the show, and it's phenomenal. You all will be so excited. We've got about roughly 10 people that are going to be doing that from the provisionals. And then we have tomorrow our trip to the New York Botanical Garden to see the Kusama exhibit with a lunch afterwards. Still working out a few little details on that, but yeah, we've got 9 people going, so it'll be really fun. And that's about it. Thank you very much.
That's great, Susan. Make sure to get us pictures from both events.
Will do.
Okay, that'll be terrific. And now we go back to Juliet, who is going to give us some information about native plant and pollinators.
Okay, so the Darien Pollinator Pathway and the library are collaborating on a citizen science project. I don't know, Lisa, if you could go to the next slide. Great. And I wanted to talk to you about it because the more people that can join this effort, the better the findings will be. And we're doing this project through the iNaturalist organization. And all you need to do if you want to help us is to download the iNaturalist app and upload photographs. And I'll go over the photographs in a minute. But basically, iNaturalist collects observations, which are basically in this case, photographs of native plants and pollinators. And they share the findings with repositories of scientific data. And this data is accessible to scientists who use the information to analyze whatever the topic is. In this case, it's going to be native plant numbers and the correlation with pollinator numbers. So by doing this, we're really contributing to biodiversity science. And we have 3 main projects. The first one is the Darien Native Plant Project. That's going to be ongoing throughout the year. So if you can download the iNaturalist app and then take photographs of native plants around the town, that will, and then upload them to, if you take the photographs on the iNaturalist app, they'll be uploaded basically to this database. And I have a cheat sheet that will give you a little bit more information about this. It doesn't matter if you make a mistake, you think it's a native and it's not a native, that will get weeded out in the, so to speak, in the process. But it is important that you turn off any, just for this purpose, turn off any privacy that you have as to your location, because the important point is to be able to identify where these plants are occurring around town. And so this project, the Native Plant Project, as I said, is an all year round. Obviously it's harder in the winter, but I mean, there's no specific time period for it. And this will be the sort of bedrock foundation of the rest of the projects. So the other project is what we call a BioBlitz. So that's everybody working together for a very short period of time. It's going to be the month of June, where we'd ask you to upload pictures of any pollinators that you see in town. And then the last project is a 1-week moth identification. So you take pictures of moths and upload them to the app. It is quite simple, but if you need to understand more about how the app works and you want reminders of when these things are happening, I've got a cheat sheet, and I'll put that on the conservation landing page of our website so that you can see it. But the more information that we can put into this, the better, because for us, this is to be the first time that we'll actually be able to track metrics and have some idea of pollinator numbers. And what's going to happen is that the two periodic projects, the Pollinator BioBlitz and the the Moth Week, will happen every year annually. So the scientists will be able to track progress or lack of progress, and we'll be able to access that information and understand whether what we're doing is enough by planting native plants. Is that enough to restore pollinator numbers, or is something else happening that's affecting the numbers? And then we'll start to have an idea of whether we need to be planting more, whether we need to be doing something else. So it's all very, very critical scientific information, and we can be part of a very, what I think is a really exciting project. So I hope you can help. Thank you.
Juliet, I got a quick question. Do you want us to take photographs of the natives on our property, or?
Oh, yes. Sorry, I should have been more specific. Anywhere you see them. So on your property would be fantastic. And it doesn't matter whether they're newly planted or you've had them for a while, or if you're on a walk anywhere around town. It doesn't matter if they're duplicates, because again, that will get weeded out in the process. But the more information, the better.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Juliet. Now we go to our newest GCA judging program candidate, Betsy Bigler, will join us with Twilight competition results.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to say one thing. This month of May has been the most beautiful month, and we deserved it so much. I can't believe it, because I just remember so many months of May that are freezing cold and rainy. So I'm in such a good mood. Anyway, before we get on to the competition, I just wanted to say that in June, we have an exhibition, photography exhibition, which will be macro rose, and that's color, and also multi-rose, which is also color. And as far as this competition is concerned, and again, the whole year, thank you so much, everybody who's participated. We've asked a lot of people. It's been a great year. We've learned so much. And the photographs that this club has produced have been unbelievably professional. So thank you so much. This one was particularly gorgeous. Twilight, the end of the day, it's always so peaceful. And let's just progress through the slides and we'll see how everybody did. We did decide to break the class into the competition into two classes, one with, as you can see, significant water and or boating, and the other one was without water. I think we had a total of 11 or 12 entries, which was fantastic. Next slide. So beautiful shot from Debbie Colon. Kathy Logier. Another beautiful, beautiful shot. And all the judges' comments have been sent to each individually, because we just didn't have room to fit everything onto the slide. So I'm sorry we couldn't share that. Leslie McCarthy, gorgeous colors. Honorable mention to Betsy Bigler, Twilight in Bermuda. Third award, Debbie Murray, Sun Setting on Lake Mendota. Second award to Emily DeAndrea, The day ends in a blaze of glory, and it is a beautiful blaze. And first goes to Mary Rooney from Harbor to Harbor. Look at the colors in that water. And the second class with significant clouds. Honorable mention to Margot Congdon, Day is Done. Amazing clouds color. Third award to Amy Frazier, The Beach House Ablaze. Second award and the Creativity Award to Leslie Pennington, Magic in, is it Portillo? It's gorgeous. And first, Amy Chilnoki, Alpenglow. How serene and gorgeous. Thank you again, everybody. Beautiful, beautiful work.
That's great. Thank you so much, Betsy. I know I love seeing the photos in person, but I have to say they really pop on my computer screen. And to be able to go back to the recordings and really have a chance to enjoy and linger over them is something really special. So small silver linings in what's otherwise been a difficult year. So thank you so much for everything you and Amy have done.
It's been our pleasure. It's been fun. Thanks.
That's great, because now we're going to move on to more fun pictures with conservation. They're going to talk about this is a big native plant day. So Ginger and Kathy Armstrong, please.
Hi. We are excited. We're the Conservation Committee, and we'd like to present native plants. Native plants are one of the 10 major conservation areas that there are position papers about in the Garden Club of America. And we really care about native plants because they help our pollinators, they help our environment, and we're hoping to show you why. In North America, a native plant is defined as an indigenous shrub, grass, tree, or vine that was present before the European settlers came. So these are plants that have evolved and spread easily over time in the region, over hundreds to thousands of years alongside of plants without human involvement. These plants are especially well adapted to our local soil, the moisture and the weather conditions. Moreover, they provide crucial food and shelter for native animal species. So our birds, our butterflies, our bees, and our other animals depend on these foods for their food and their shelter. And they often become displaced when other plants come in and endanger their local habitat. For instance, I think we've all heard about monarch butterflies and how important milkweed is. There also is even milkweed from the south that stays longer and threatens our butterflies because they don't migrate at the correct time. Next. So in addition to supporting pollinators, native plants also are really helpful. They adapt to local conditions so that they don't need as much fertilizer or pesticides, which are also killing our animals. Root systems of native plants, as you can see on the right, are more robust and grow deeper. This means that they need less water. And as we've all known, we've been in drought many times in the last couple of years. So anything that can help us use less water is great. They also help the stormwater runoff not erode. They are carbon sequesterers, so they keep carbon inside. So as you can see on the right, the left, the invasives such as English ivy, butterfly bush, Scottish broom, and grass turf are some of the things that we have in Fairfield County that are not native. On the right are the native substitutes that you could use, such as strawberries or Douglas spirea or native grasses, or even Oregon grape. And these all have deeper roots, thrive in our area. And so that's something we really like. Many of the non-invasive plants in our area, threaten. And so now Kathy's going to talk about some of the non-native plants and what their problems might be.
So how do we define invasive plants? Really, any plant that was not part of the landscape 400 years ago cannot be considered native. Non-native plants are not all harmful, but many are truly invasive. And it's vital that we balance our ecosystem well and that we work to eliminate them. They are disruptive in ways that cause not just environmental harm, but also economic harm and health hazards. Invasives reproduce really rapidly. They will aggressively overtake native plants and crowd out important basic food sources for native animals. They often affect water availability and damage the quality of the soil too. This is a photo of the common invasive called mile-a-minute. Next slide. Now this is mile-a-minute in Japanese knotwood that have been unchecked. You can see how these plants, when left to themselves, will aggressively overtake everything in their way. They will quickly crowd out and kill off native plants that are really home and food for regional birds, bees, butterflies, and vital insects. Now, to learn more about these harmful invasives and how to identify them on your property, you can just Google Connecticut invasive plants. And there are two very helpful websites that will pop up. One is the Yukon site that's very comprehensive, and that site is called CIPWG, which is Connecticut Invasive Plants Working Group. And that will give you a lot of information about what's in our own backyards. The second site is called invasive.org, and that includes a long list with photos that may help you to identify and provide tips on how to remove harmful invasive plant species from your property. Now, the Darien Pollinator Pathway is our own local initiative to promote the use of native plants. It was founded by our own Juliet Kane, GCD's member, and a lot of other members in our Darien group, in cooperation with the Darien Nature Center, the Gardner Center in town, the Darien Library, and community members in Darien. Now, the aim of the Pollinator Pathway is to create a corridor of adjacent properties providing private residences and public spaces that provide safe habitat for birds, bees, butterflies, and other insects. The goal is really to make Darien one big pollinator pathway with private, commercial, and municipal spaces being pesticide-free and hosting native plants. Pilot programs have been launched around town at Cherry Lawn, Highland Farm, and Town Hall to plant and maintain these gardens with only organic materials as part of a multi-year plan to phase out chemicals in the town parks. It's our hope that more and more property owners will join the effort to promote the use of native plants and organic maintenance. You can learn more about the Darien Pollinator Pathway. At the bottom here, you can see the website, and just go there to learn how to support it and become a member. That's it.
That's great. Thank you so much, Ginger and Kathy, and to Iris for organizing the position paper presentations this year. They've been very informative and very well done. I can't believe we're winding up all these things. It's May. And now we go to our final committee report for today, floral design rather, with Phyllis and Carolyn, and that will be followed by the floral design minute. I know Phyllis.
Hi, everyone.
There she is.
There I am. Hi, everyone. Carolyn, unfortunately, had to step away. I hope everyone was so inspired by today's demonstration, and it sparked a lot of creativity among all of our members, newbies and experts. I wanted to announce our very first in-person live floral competition, June 4th, at the Mather Barn, and it will be drop-off is between 10:30 and 11. Judging will be promptly at 11:15, and pickup is 1 p.m. So there are two classes. One is homegrown, the second is store-bought. So please don't be intimidated if you do not have your own garden. 60% of the flowers need to be roses and not to exceed 20 inches wide. So and the container, we're encouraging everyone to use sort of a silver metallic finish. So we are so excited and really encouraging everyone to join in. Let's have our last but best floral competition for the year. And secondly, I wanted to do a shout out to Shizui, who we had a lovely Ikebana workshop in conjunction with the New Canaan Garden Club on the 29th. It was fantastic. I want to thank Irene Milkmore, who was sort of our sensei, and she came around and helped us, and her expertise was so appreciated. And Leslie McCarthy, who I know did these lovely photographs and also put a lovely video together, which you will see later on, maybe next month, or it'll be in the newsletter. So thank you. That's all I have.
Great. Is Mia on? Is she ready to take over the Floral Design Minute?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Good morning, Mia.
Good morning. So the Floral Design Minute texture, which was wonderful. We saw a great example in Michael's arrangements today. This design minute is by Maeve, Kristen, and Sandy. What is texture in floral design? Texture can be described as the feel, appearance, or characteristics of a surface. This is extremely important in floral design because the texture of a vase, flowers, foliage, fillers, bows, and more need to be taken into account to ensure that the combined texture will have a desirable flow and consistency. Texture is primarily tactile. It can be rough, smooth, leathery, velvety, satiny, or hairy. Texture can also be discerned visually. We see the differences between rough and smooth, coarse and fine, smooth and fine. These are all contrasts that provide interest in design. Spiky, round, and puffy hydrangea. This is textural interest. Combining different textures in an arrangement adds interest through contrast. When textures are varied, the arrangement attracts attention. Round, multi-layered flowers contrasted with lighter foliage demonstrate variety and texture. Meadow-inspired large dahlias are contrasted with vines of jasmine in this picture. Texture is the look and feel of any material used within a design. Actual texture, the touch and feel of the surfaces of any material add artistic interest and variety. Contrast is an essential part of creating arrangements with a natural look. Bold dahlias have even greater impact beside the delicate trailing jasmine in this picture. Let berries brush up against branches or snuggle fluffy blooms next to tight buds. Remember to consider the different stages of the flower, bud to bloom, to provide additional textural interest. And finally, texture is the secret ingredient that will add to the most sophisticated and artistic floral arrangements. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mia, Maeve, Kristen, and Sandy, and to Phyllis and Carolyn and the entire Floral Design Committee for wonderful minutes this year. We really enjoyed them. And Lisa, we can go to the next one since we gave away all of the creations earlier. Everybody watch out for Diane's probably already on the road. But in the meantime, we want to thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at our annual meeting on Tuesday, June 8th. We will have wrap-ups, awards, and giveaways from Terrain to celebrate our inspiring year and to say thank you to everybody. So go out and enjoy. It's almost 12 noon. Have a great afternoon and happy spring, everyone. Enjoy. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
you.
a lot.
Everybody.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
You too.
Thank you.
Yeah, you too.